People always question me like, but the LLC has Lakota people on their board, they're consultants or teachers. I think they just hired a Lakota deputy director. I always tell them, don't be shocked by that. This has been happening since we started having relations with non-Lakota people. In the old days, some of our people, especially our warriors, they were given certain privileges for their proximity to the Indian agents. They were promised houses, jobs, rations, etc., etc. But on the flip side of that, they had to sign treaties, they had to do the bidding of the agent, whatever. But I would also say that this conditioning of our own people has happened over a number of years, about 20 years with the Lakota Language Consortium. So that conditioning, to think that conditioning is going to go away in 2 years, it just isn't realistic. So I'm going to show you all of the press and all the things that Maya, the director, and Ulrich, the linguistic director, all the things that they've said and done, and all that they have put on us as Lakota people and our failures. Indigenous scholars call this Native American failure, these colonial tropes. It shifts the blame of what it really was and what really happened. Settler colonial violence, boarding schools, killing, genocide, massacres, trying to strip us of our very identity, of our land, of our spirituality, and also our language. So when someone's gonna take your resources, they're going to delegitimize your authorities first. So this was very skilled, very devious, but very skilled. They attack our elders as teachers first. And so I'm gonna show you what Maya and Ulrich did and what they said, and then I'm gonna show you how eventually the younger generation and some of the older generation took on those tropes, and now how they say them back and how they view our speakers, our teachers, and us. So this is gonna take multiple parts, but from Dr. Tasha Hoff's paper, she's Lakota, Beyond Numbers, Colors, and Animals. Meek highlights that such enumeration rhetoric ultimately focuses on the younger generation's inability to learn indigenous languages and thus contributes to the colonial trope of Native American failure. I argue that Standing Rock used the same rhetoric of enumeration to investigate the older generation's lack of training in how to teach indigenous language, thus opening up areas of possibility for language revitalization or settler colonial violence. This is what the LLC exploited. Stay tuned for part 2. In a paper, Wilhelm Maya said that there is no central organizing body which leads this endeavor, language revitalization. Rather, this effort is disjointed, decentralized, and undertaken by varying individuals and institutions, each of which have different approaches to communicating and utilizing the Lakota knowledge systems, totally disregarding tribal education departments and tribal colleges. So in this article, Language Not Lost, Wilhelm Maya says he's working to produce Lakota language textbooks for elementary schools, something he was shocked to find did not exist after 30 years of bilingual education on Lakota reservations. He's totally going against the fact that we had tribal education departments, we had language in our schools, and also our tribal colleges. Biggest problem facing Lakota language education is teachers' lack of training and materials. This is where he starts going at our experts, our Lakota language speakers and teachers. The kids want to learn something, but they can't get it from the teachers because the teachers have given up. This would be really funny if it weren't just straight up outright offensive. My grandmother worked in language revitalization her whole life, and to suggest that she had given up is just ridiculous. What we have found is it's better to train good teachers, another slight, even non-speakers, than to just get a native speaker and put them in a classroom. This is where he detaches the language from our people and he makes it into a thing. And then he says that you don't need any knowledge of us, our people, our culture, and that we don't have good teachers. Our native speakers are not good teachers. He floats this idea. In another article, Meeting to Preserve the Lakota Language, Maya says that there was a lack of qualified teachers, the lack of curriculum, two complete lies. And these are all the books and curriculum and resources that were created before the LLC came. In another article, Language Not Lost, Maya says they have never been given the opportunity to learn it correctly. Again, taking digs and shots at our people. In this research article called Orality Overwritten, Ulrich states that he found that the root cause of language loss isn't settler colonial violence. It's untrained Lakota language teachers using inconsistent ad hoc spelling. So again, shots at our Lakota language teachers, and now they're working how we write our language. Ulrich, in that same paper, in that same email, he says that Lakota language literacy has been nearly non-existent in the 50 to 60 years. Again, it's a shot at us, our people that were illiterate, and of course is a huge, huge lie. Stay tuned for part 3. You can't see this, but in this, the admin for the Lakota language website, they attack other people's work and dictionaries and Father Buchels. And then they even ask people to go and review that on Amazon to give Buchels negative stars, and so that their dictionary will move up. So again, they're attacking the things and resources that the Lakota people are using. So if you go to Amazon and you look at and you type in Father Buchels dictionary, and then you go to the comments in around 2009 when the LLC asked, you can see all of these negative reviews. Funniest one is Jan Ulrich, and he gives it twice. If you wish to buy a Lakota dictionary with sterling examples, sentences, user-friendly orthographics for pronunciation, and complete up-to-date information on grammar, I strongly recommend that you consider the new Lakota dictionary by the Lakota Language Consortium instead, and not waste your hard-earned money on the obsolete, inferior dictionary like Buchel. The new Lakota dictionary is so far superior in every way to Buchel that I and my entire class completely changed over our spelling system to match the NLD, and I have not touched my Buchel dictionary since buying this one. You don't need any other textbooks for grammar. This one dictionary has it all. This last one is hilarious. If you truly wish to buy the best Lakota dictionary currently available, I strongly urge you to buy the new Lakota dictionary and forgo the outdated, more difficult to use Buchel dictionary. Why not get the best for your money? I should mention that I have no ulterior motives at all in recommending the LLC or their dictionary. This is just the truth as I see it from being a longtime student and teacher of the Lakota language. He did have ulterior motives. He was the compiler of that dictionary, and he's the linguistic director for the LLC. All right, so what's the problem? That we have untrained Lakota teachers that don't know what they're doing, that we don't have a standardized writing system, and that we don't have good resources. When someone sells you the disease, they're going to sell you the cure. So they're bringing books. Many feel for the first time a sense of genuine hope that a book like this may help save the language. Your gift allows us to produce the Lakota language materials so urgently needed on the reservations. Lakota children have wanted to learn their language but have not been able to for want of textbooks and learning aids. Teachers have wanted teaching aids but often can't get them. The LLC offers the final opportunity. Here they start tying both of those tropes together, that we didn't have books and that they're going to help our teachers. They're going to save our teaching, and to assist teachers in utilizing LLC materials and making more effective use of them. Stay tuned for part 4. So the one problem is books. The next problem was teachers. And now the third problem is we don't have a standardized language. So they're going to bring standardization. In their initial MOU, they say that the major goal of the consortium is to standardize Lakota language instruction, curriculum, and resource materials in a way that will use the language in daily life. Even Lakota supporters in the beginning, like Mr. Littlefinger, was against this. I'm not one to say this is the way it's going to be. I'm not qualified to pose that on anyone. You can pause to read the rest of that. In the MOU, the designation of new words, spellings, orthography, and rules of usage will be standardized by the LLC Language Committee, while also creating a standardized language for use in the school systems and texts. In a newspaper article, the major LLC goal is to standardize Lakota language instruction, curriculum, and resource materials. You can't really see this, but if you look in their opening flap of their dictionary, they say since the introduction of the standard orthography. Anyway, they call their writing system the standard Lakota orthography. And they really get into this bandwagon fallacy. Many educators, you can see it through all of their interviews, many elders, many teachers, many people, but they'll never name them. Okay, back to the article of language revitalization as sites for settler colonial violence. To state an extremely obvious point, the inherent natures of languages is that they can be learned. They are not a property that can be confined to a particular place, time, or group of speakers, which could be seen as a valuable tool for revitalization, but which also means that anyone with the time and means can learn the language and use it for a variety of purposes. So what happened when these individuals came over is that our language department starts setting aside time for our language that previously we did not set aside the time for. Instead of realizing that that was the issue, we gave credit to these individuals as our saviors. But if we would have just set aside the time with our resources, our elders in the first place, see what I'm saying? There's also a lot of prophecies about our people in this generation, bringing back our ways, our languages, all these different things. So I would rather give credit to our people and what has been said before instead of credit to these individuals. But why do I share all this? Because this deficit thinking and these tropes of Native American failure have set in on our people. It's been a story told over 20 years. Stay tuned for part 5, I guess. All right, so I shared all that, but I'm going to show you how successful it was because we're still dealing with this conditioning. We're still getting attacks. These things I shared are public. They've been said on the radio to the world, to our tribal council. They've been said on Facebook posts. They've been said in press releases. They've been said wherever. Also research articles. Where I can, I'm going to try to blur out the names because the names aren't important, but these are our people. I obviously can't in some of these instances because they were said on the radio or whatever, but I'm going to try to blur out the names because the individuals, it's not about individuals, it's about the ideas and the mindsets.
No other reservation has done what Standing Rock has done. With help from LLC, they have taught Lakota teachers how to teach Lakota. They have developed textbooks with audio CDs and teacher guides. They have standardized the Lakota orthography so that the language could be taught consistently, so that standardized textbooks could be written, so that a consistent, thorough dictionary can be written for the students to use.
All right, so that was an LLC board member going on about standardization, inconsistent spelling. This next board member says that these materials are all we have left, totally ignoring all of our elders.
It's a tool that, and it's one of all the things that we have left.
This is the LLC deputy director. He's using the inconsistent spelling, and then he attacks white hat's orthography because it doesn't mark stress, which leads to mispronunciation. LLC board member going in with extremely limited language material, which again was a lie. I would agree it would be nice to have a native organization. However, it's very complex given there are few speakers left, many of whom lack the skills necessary to run a complex organization. It's a lot of deficit thinking of our own people. LLC deputy director, I'm asking how painting the only reliable and thorough Lakota dictionary. So it goes back to those attacks that Ulrich made on all the other dictionaries.
Part of the problem that we have again here is we have a lot of Lakota speakers on the Rosebud Reservation. The only problem is they're illiterate.
So that's a throwback from Ulrich that there has no been Lakota literacy for the last 50, 60 years. And that was an LLC board member. Gonna need a part 6, I guess. So when inviting LLC on, the Standing Rock Education Department at the time, the director said we had to go with whatever we had. Going back to the trope that we had no resources and our teachers didn't know what they were doing, basically ignoring all of our fluent speakers. So this is a post from the LLC board member after our tribe banned them. that we're going to get in trouble. And then the LLC deputy director said, if you can read through all the diacritic BS, what this basically means is that we kicked ourselves in the butt. Here's a tribal language program director that came up through their products and all that that conditioning or that mindset. I'm willing to help teach Lakota to anyone, including counsel, guilt, and ridicule free, but I only teach using LLC methods. Those aren't LLC methods. I mean, it's like TPR, natural approach, yada, yada, yada.
Because our own people on the reservation, especially the young people, won't know anything about our songs, dances, ceremonies, traditional arts, cultural practices. They know literally nothing.
So LLC board member, back to the trope of Native American failure, the failure of our youth, that we don't know anything. I'm going to put a trigger warning on these next two videos. They're both from LLC board members. Just remember, these are said in front of me, my family, to our council, over live radio, broadcasts throughout the world. The first video is a shot at trying to dispossess us and our children of our own language because of the successful efforts of the previous colonization and settler colonial violence.
Continue to sell out our children's language to pay Will Mayer. Sell out which language are you talking about? Most children speak English. Is that what you're talking about? I believe. Go out to the playground and listen to the children playing out there. Which language are they speaking? That's their native language. Is that what you're going to protect?
So the next video is board member trying to dispossess council of the ability to even make a decision because English is their native language.
You don't have to answer this. How many of you here speak Lakota? How many here are speaking only English? Which one are you protecting? Your native language. What's your native language?
So what that last video is like, it's like continuing that colonial violence, like because of their success. Now you're deficient. All right, last video, part 7. So this is a LLC board member trying to do the same thing that the last board member did, trying to dispossess our council of the right to make a decision because they don't have a certain level of fluency on the actful scale, comparing it to Arabic. But there's a lot more to it in that this is our blood right, this is our people's right, this is our language.
I don't want to be disrespectful, but I also want you to think about how can somebody, a committee or a council who doesn't speak or talk a language decide on things that involve that language. Like if we just imposed another language on it, like a certain specific dialect of Arabic, and then everyone who is deciding something on that language doesn't speak, read, or understand Arabic, that dialect, how then is that group of individuals, how do they get to have that power to be the deciding body on anything that has those matters involved? And I don't say it to offend you or hurt you. It's a legit question.
I just want to reiterate that all these things, these last few videos, they were said on KLND, on our radio station, in front of us. They were being recorded. They were being broadcasted. The LLC board members, they had no qualms about saying this stuff publicly. And that's why I feel that it's okay to share. But it's not about the individuals. It's just about the thoughts and the mindset, the ideas. We're talking about the ideas here. It's about the ideas and how far this conditioning, these thoughts got pushed in the last video.
But I did take you on as a relative, and I'll say publicly that I would take 100 yawns over 100 rotten Indians.
So going back to that, languages are learnable. All we need is time and resources. Then all of the tropes, talking points, attacks on our people, the condition. This happened over 20 years. So to think we're gonna put it aside in 2 years is unrealistic. Also understand what me and my family have gone through.